welcome back to Score on Business. Remember to check out the website scorenashville.org. Lots of resources. So our next guest is Melinda Scruggs Gales. And
That's okay.
Yeah, she's the Chief Brand Office. I'm having a rough go right now.
That's okay.
The Chief Brand Strategist at
Yes.
Gales Network.
Yes.
So Gales Network is a leading-edge brand development firm specializing in entertainment, healthcare, and technology. They have many global and local brands to provide clarity, strategy, and action to outperform competitors. And one thing, what's the difference in marketing and branding?
I love it that you asked that question because so many people really confuse the two or think that branding is your logo. And brand development is really a very broad thing. It's an intangible group of components that is a long-term investment in your company and what you do. So it really is something that's built over a period of years. Marketing built on good brand sells your product or your service or your celebrity. So having a good base of brand and understanding what your brand is means that your marketing is effective and creates more value in your company or your service over time.
Okay. So what's an example of a really strong brand that has been well developed?
Wow, I could go on for days. And you only have a short period of time with me. I think immediately of Red Bull. Okay. Because that is something that very specifically has owned a category that very recently you would know that the kids all know what Red Bull is. Well, I was around when Red Bull first came about, and you started hearing about it kind of on the fringes, but I was out cycling with a group of cyclists, and a little car drives by, and it's got this big can on it, and they went to the customer. What they did great is they knew who their customers were, and so instead of just running a bunch of ads, they went to extreme snowboarding and extreme skateboarding and surfing and all these things where people were kind of pushing the boundaries because that was a part of their culture. We talked about culture earlier on the show today, and their values were about extreme risk. That was something that they wanted to connect with. So they went and found people doing that and connected with them.
Awesome. Well, what are some of the principles or best practices for entrepreneurs building their brand?
Well, I think we'd start with kind of what I just was describing as stop, clarify who you are. Yes. And just like Kirk was talking about earlier, about a piece of that being that mission of who you are and the values of who you are, those are components of your brand. Now, there are many more rooms in the house. We like to talk about a brand being like an architectural design for a house. And so everybody's is going to be a little bit different based on what they need. So take time to look at your brand and say, do I know my essence? Do I know my purpose? Do I know the why of why we're here? Do I know my position against my competitors? How well do I know my customer? And you can't just look at some social media statistics about likes and shares and know your customer. You really have to know them on a word-of-mouth, face-to-face basis to really know the impact of your brand. And so you take all those components, and it's the art and science of pulling those together then to build your plans. So that's the number one is definitely know who you are. And then, do you want me to go with any more? Or?
Yeah, there's several things I want to make sure we cover. So, you know, you're talking about brand today, but also Gales Network has done very well over a long period of time in a very, very difficult industry. What are some of the things that have led to your success?
Well, I know what you love the story about, and it's really true. Both my partner and I, David Gales, and I'm Melinda Scruggs Gales, and we both grew up in the entertainment business, and specifically in the music business. And I like to say I started when I was 12 when I tell this story, but in the early days of recording music, recording was a process that took a very long time. And often, because we had long lead times and being able to take something to market, we would be out selling an album before it was even the songs were decided on, or we'd get that distribution calendar and we'd say March, that's when it's coming out, and then we would say, oh, we better get in the studio. And sometimes we'd even record a track in the studio that had no words to the song. But we were still out there getting the customers excited about it. And we did that in a way that was really social media before the internet.
Right.
We had fan clubs and we had street teams, and we talked to people and got them excited about the idea of the brand of that artist. And then they would go to their record stores and they'd call radio and say, we're excited, and then that would set us up for the sales.
Awesome. Well, hey, let's take a quick break here.
Okay.
Remember, scorenashville.org. We'll be right back.